Pahrum's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
Welcome to News 46, your #1 source for local news. I'm Deanna O'Donnell, and this is your Week in Review. A man who robbed U.S. Bank in Smith's grocery store on February 12th has been arrested. Charles R. Layton Jr. was arrested by California Highway Patrol in Inyo County for suspected of drunk driving. He is being held on local charges as well as an FBI warrant for the bank robbery. The Nye County Sheriff's Office also has an active warrant for the robbery, which is on retainer pending the FBI warrant. Detectives are following up on several leads and the investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information pertaining to this case are urged to contact the Nye County Sheriff's Office at 751-7000. News 46 will have more as this case continues. All suspects arrested pled guilty over 3 homes in Pahrump housing a large operation of marijuana grows.
State versus William Stanley and Benjamin Shirley, and all the credit goes to the narcotics officers. Back in the fall of '08, one of the officers, Sergeant Huggins, was in the area of Travoy Street. It was a cool night, had his windows down, and he got the smell of marijuana. And took a couple other officers back out there, and they smelled it too, and they were able to pinpoint a certain house. They checked the power records. The power was running at 3 times the average, which indicates power consumption for marijuana growing. Got a search warrant, went in, found a massive marijuana grow there, and they found evidence in that house which led them to 2 other houses here in Pahrump, a house on Idlewild and a house on McMurray. And they got search warrants for those 2 houses, and same thing, big massive marijuana grow in each house. And through evidence and DNA, we were able to link all 3 of those houses to William Stanley and Benjamin Shirley. And today was supposed to be their jury trial, and they ended up pleading guilty. So, well, quantity-wise, it would have been most likely, from the best of my memory, in the millions of dollars worth of marijuana. I think it's each plant produces 2 to 3 pounds of marijuana, and then in each house had hundreds of plants. And then whatever a pound of marijuana goes for on the street, it's quite expensive. And so it was a $1 million operation, and those guys were probably making quite a bit of money selling it. So that's why they did it. The issue, they challenged the state's search warrant, the search warrant for the first house. They felt that there was a constitutional issue. They filed a motion to suppress the evidence, but the judge sided with the state. He agreed that it was a constitutional search, a valid search. Their rights were not violated, and so they pled guilty. They did reserve their right to appeal that issue to the Supreme Court, and they will be doing that, but we're confident that the Supreme Court will rule the same way.
And that was Judge Bonaventure who came out from Las Vegas, is that correct?
Yes, visiting Judge Bonaventure, senior judge, sitting in for the late Judge Davis, and he's been doing that on quite a bit of Judge Davis's cases, and he does a good job.
Very good. Now, where does this go from here?
From here, their sentencing will be May the 10th in district court. The public's welcome to come, look at what they're going to be sentenced to. The Department of Parole and Probation will prepare a report making recommendations on whether they should get probation or prison time or a fine or both. So they'll be sentenced on May 10th. And then after that, they'll have a certain amount of time. I think they have to file their notice within 30 days to appeal it to the Supreme Court. And from there, it could be anywhere from 6 months to a year before the court decides anything.
All right. Thanks, Wes.
You're welcome.
One man was arrested for DUI and fleeing the scene of an accident at Pahrump Valley Boulevard and Game Bird on Wednesday afternoon. A vehicle versus moped accident happened yesterday afternoon right before 4 p.m. It all started on Calvada and Pahrump Valley Boulevard, where a man on a moped hit a silver SUV. The man on the moped did flee the scene. People followed who witnessed the accident, trying to get the man to stop. Nye County Sheriff's deputies, Nye County Sheriff's detectives, and Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue arrived on scene at both locations. The first location being Pahrump Valley and Calvada, where they had an oil spill. The second location is where they caught the suspect here at Game Bird and Pahrump Valley Boulevard. The man highly intoxicated. On scene, he was vomiting. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue did take care of him on scene. He didn't suffer any injuries, and the person inside the SUV also suffered no injuries. Nye County Sheriff's Detective Eric Murphy took custody of the man, who is going to have the following charges: driving under the influence and any other charges that may come of that. This is Deanna O'Donnell at Gamebird in Pahrump Valley Boulevard for News 46. And item 12 in last week's town board meeting was the discussion and possible decision to amend paragraph 14 of the town manager's job description to allow the town manager to determine, among other details, appropriate staffing levels and whether town board funded positions should remain vacant. News 46 was there to see how it all went.
In the past budget year, in order to save money, the town manager adjusted downward the minimum staffing levels of the fire department, which actually had the effect of cutting back on overtime. As a result, the union filed a grievance. One reason that the town of Pahrump lost in arbitration was because the town manager did not have the express authority in his job description to determine staffing levels. So agenda item number 12 provides is that the town manager will have, in all of that legalese, basically the express authority to determine staffing levels for all employees and to limit overtime in order to save the town money.
You're taking a weak sentence that was in the town manager job description, whoever that may be, and strengthening it for the future. But just because you're strengthening it, it does not supersede any collective bargaining agreement. So collective bargaining agreements are still held way up here.
Mr. Chairman, as Mr. Kohlbarger pointed out, he would have to follow any legal requirements. And of course, with the fire department, they have a labor contract that they agree to, which includes the staffing levels, I would imagine, and all that kind of stuff.
I disagree with this one particular reason, is that you have a chief, you have a person who's in charge of the buildings and grounds. They are supervisors. They have to come up. I feel that they should be the one that make the decision if they need the people or not. In the case of Mr. Lewis or Chief Lewis or Matt, them people are contracted to the town. They work for the town. I understand what you're saying.
They work for the town manager.
No, they are contracted. The chief is a contract.
They work for the town manager. Please understand that.
No, I don't. I disagree with you, Mr. Walters.
They actually work for
because how can you have a person go and be a manager or a town manager tell a fire chief how he's going to operate his fire station? I don't think he can.
And he should never do that. However, he is still the supervisor.
Can the board and should the board be abdicating your elected responsibility as a government body by delegating this function to the administrative staff person? And the reason I say that is because you are indicating that the town board has funded the position and the town manager can permanently leave it empty or temporarily leave it empty. That constitutes force reduction. You might want to look at the laws that have to do with force reduction.
Good evening, Scott Lewis, Mayor Fire Chief. Not to echo the words that have already been stated here this evening, but I would at the minimum ask you to table this. And the reason being is because, as has been mentioned, risk assessment and liabilities. I also cannot abdicate my authority to another individual in running a fire department. It's very specific in the laws as far as my requirement of running a fire department. And it always worries me. I think we need further clarification on sort of processes that would end with staffing related issues. And so I think we need to have further clarification on the issue, and I think we have to understand exactly what the roles and responsibilities are within each of the departments that we're speaking of this evening. Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 3-2.
Of course, this motion did not pass 3-2. And concerning that motion, agenda item number 12 on the town board, It got many people up in arms. Some think it may mean Town Manager Bill Kohlbarger will make staffing decisions for the Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue Services. Mr. Kohlbarger spoke to News 46 on Thursday and wants to reassure all that all department heads in the town of Pahrump, including Fire Chief Scott Lewis, are 100% in charge of their departments and that it is his job to oversee the budget and any concerns that there may be.
That was already established in the job description that stated that I had the authority to set staffing limits. And what it did was just tweak it a little bit to make it a little bit stronger. In charge of everything within the town. I'm in charge of buildings and grounds, I'm in charge of admin, I'm in charge of the fire department. The fire chief is in charge of running the fire department. My responsibilities are the overall process of everything that the fire department does, and the buildings and grounds, and the admin in the entire town of Pahrump. No changes to the fire department. As far as overseeing the fire department, it's going to continue as my day-to-day operations of the entire town.
So this won't change the overtime that we have in the fire department? You'll just be looking at the actual paperwork to see if there is some cuts to be made or not?
That's all I'm going to be doing, and that's my day-to-day operational job, is to make sure that the budget is stayed within and that the guidelines and all that are established within the town's policies and procedures are being followed. Has nothing to do with anything else, and it's just the overall operations of the town of Pahrump.
What does the audit say as far as the Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue and ambulance services?
Well, it says that last year the Pahrump Valley Fire Department spent $2,228,789 for their department alone in the general fund. And how we do is, what we do is we get revenue from the state and from the county and from other stuff that we do here. It's all put into a big pot, which oversees then admin, buildings and grounds, public and safety, and culture and recreation. And all that pot of money funds all those departments. As for the ambulance, the enterprise fund, they spent their actual charges for service was just over $3.3 million. Their actual expenses were just a little bit under $3.3 million. So we actually were ahead $124,089. My job is to oversight of budget activities within the town. 2 years ago, the town lost money. Last year, it was put in the audit report of 2009 from the auditor, hey, you guys need to watch this very heavily. This last year, he stated that the finance was managed extremely well. Mr. Sullivan and I did a very good job of oversight of the budget, and we actually made a little bit of money for the first time in 3 years. Wow. And that is our overall goal, is to actually either break even or make money so that we can purchase more equipment, so that we can do more things in the future. And that is my main responsibility, is oversight of the budgetary activities of all departments. At page 13 of the audit, we made just a little over $366,000.
What are we going to be doing with that money?
Oh, it's just being rolled over, and we're going to be, again, very stingent with the money. And that's our goal, and we don't ever want to have to lay off anybody, ever, in this town. We want everybody that has a job right now to continue having a job. So our continued constant oversight of the budgetary matters will continue. And again, it's my goal never ever to have to lay off one person. I want everybody who's working here to continue working here.
Town Manager Bill Kohlbarger also wanted to add one more thing to make his point clear.
You know, I think Chief Lewis is doing a great job of running the fire department, as Matt Lewis is doing a phenomenal job with the buildings and grounds, and Mr. Sullivan's doing a phenomenal job with the finances of this community. This town should be extremely happy that they have department heads such as Chief Lewis, Michael Sullivan, and Matt Lewis. They are incredible people doing a great job with tight resources, and they all need to be applauded.
Should the town board be eliminated? That's the question that Monday's workshop proposes to be on the 2012 ballot. Commissioner Dan Chinhoffen explains.
We have Monday night, it's March 14th at 6 p.m. at the Board of County Commissioner Chambers at the Duck Pond. There'll be a hearing on whether to have on the next ballot to disband the town board. The commissioners don't have the authority to do that because it was set up by vote, and we'll see if we're going to put it on to vote it out. But we're having a hearing Monday for everybody to come out and state your case. Tell us why you think it's a good thing to keep them, or why you think that it might be a good idea to do without an elected town board. I don't know, you could call it a workshop, I guess, but it's to see what the community wants. Do you want us to put it on the ballot? Do you want to vote on whether to keep the board the way it is, or would you like to see it disbanded? So that's what's happening Monday night.
Why did this item come up?
We had we had a petition with a few people who were asking for us to disband the town board, and we, again, don't have the statutory authority because it was created by a vote of the people. So rather than just go ahead and put it on the ballot, we decided we'd have a meeting. We called a special meeting. It's an evening meeting, 6 p.m. on a Monday, to let the people in the town tell us what they want, what they'd like us to do.
How are the commissioners and the town board getting along with like this item coming up?
You know, there's always this talk. The town and the county hate each other. I represent District 5, which is completely in Pahrump. Two other commissioners, their districts are completely in Pahrump. So the idea that the county somehow doesn't like Pahrump is, I don't know. There has been contentions in the past, and there's always going to be personalities involved. But you know, for me, I don't see a difference. I'm here to represent the people of District 5, and they're all in Pahrump.
Well, with the item coming up on the town board's agenda to take the Nye County complex back and put it underneath the town of Pahrump, is this kind of making a little friction between you guys?
Take it back's a misnomer because it was built by the county, and it was offered immediately when it was opened in July for the town board to meet there. They refused to do that, and then when the building roof got too bad and they had to close it, we offered again, and they had a meeting in January, and then February they took a vote amongst themselves to ask us to give them the whole building. So, I don't know if it's contentious or just ridiculous. I don't know what you'd want to call it.
So the county commissioners are going to still have their meetings there as well?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And again, we've offered it to the board, and they can continue to meet there as long as they want, even after the Rood Center, whatever they decide to do with it. Even after that's done, they could meet at the the duck pond.
There you go. And so once again, what's the time and the meeting date?
The meeting for Monday is March 14th, and it's 6 p.m. Come early. We expect a crowd. And please bring your facts. And it's going to be maybe emotional, but we're going to kind of ask you to check your emotions. Just tell us what your reasonings are. Why do you want it on the ballot? Why do you don't want it on the ballot?
Still more local news to come after this break. Keep it here.
Pahrump's most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
And welcome back. The Yucca Mountain Project has been a huge issue here in Nye County, and whether or not you support it or are against the project, Commissioner Dan Chinhoffen hopes to see you at the Pahrump Historical Museum this Saturday to talk about just that.
We have a new exhibit. We moved all the items down to the museum. It's a really nice setup now. If you have any concerns about Yucca Mountain, please come down. We're going to have a hearing not a hearing, it's more of a conversation, March 12th, Saturday at 3 p.m., Saturday 3 p.m. at the museum on Basin. Come on down, and particularly if you're in favor of Yucca Mountain, I'm going to ask you to come down because people always show up when they're not in favor of something, and we've got they seem to think in Washington that there is no local support for Yucca Mountain. So we're asking all of you who see the value of Yucca Mountain to come on out too. And those of you who don't, come on out. There should be some scientists there who've worked on the project. There's some great displays, particularly on transportation. That seems to be everybody's main bailiwick is transportation. Great tests they did on the casks. There has never been a spill of nuclear material while in transport. I know that people want to argue that with me, but I'm talking about here in the United States, particularly in the casks that they have, never been a spill of material. And nuclear material is shipped around the country every day, and it's shipped through this county every day. So come on down and get some facts and see if you can't support it. It's a huge financial benefit for this county and the state. The county would realize, I don't want to give the exact figures, but a lot of money and a lot of jobs. 2,700 jobs have been lost there, and these were mostly high-paid scientists and people with degrees, and they're gone. They're out of the state. So Harry got his wish. He wanted no employees there, and he's got that now, but we don't believe it's dead yet, not until they put a cork in it. It's an $11 billion hole in the ground, and by statute, the Congress voted for this to happen, and so the DOE now is just breaking the law by not allowing it to continue. And that's all we're asking for is let the process continue, let all the facts be heard, and let's get the politics out of it.
It's actually closed now, isn't it?
It's closed. There's no employees there. The lawsuits are suing the NRC and the DOE for stopping the process. Some of the findings were released by the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, a few weeks back, and they redacted all of the findings, whether it's good or bad. They just redacted it, wouldn't tell us. We think that if it was bad, that they would have put them in there. So that's all we're asking for. We have a resolution coming up on the 15th. We're going to talk about that on Saturday. So come on out Saturday. It's 3 p.m. at the museum. And the resolution simply says, let the process continue. And if after all the facts are out, it's found to be able to be constructed and operated safely, then we are for it.
The Calvada Eye Restoration Project has taken some big steps forward lately. News 46 was there this past week for a new delivery. This morning, some benches and 2 tables were delivered to the Calvada Eye. This is all part of the Calvada renovation project. We're going to find out about this project, which is in full force right now.
We got these locally here from MDF Enterprises. They made these, manufactured them here for us, and we were able to secure this through a grant from the High Desert Resource Conservation and Development Council. So the commissioners were successful in helping us get this grant for this project.
These were put together locally here.
Absolutely, yeah. So we were so excited to find a local manufacturer. We had searched high and low online, and luckily people were able to put us in contact with the MDF Corporation Enterprises.
What's some of the plans that we have in the future for the Calvada Eye here with these in respect?
Okay. Right. The benches will be added on. We're getting a new building out here for Health and Community Services, along with the renovated ponds. We're looking at walking trails, and we are hoping that we can bring in the farmers market here. We think it's a nice location for them, and we're working with the Prump Arts Council to bring more events into the Calvada Eye as our community centers.
Where would the Prump Arts Council events be held?
Well, we're looking at the big shaded area over with the grass area, so we're looking at art in the park. We're looking at concerts in the park, along with other venues. We think, like the farmers market, venues like that would work out very well here.
And we were talking about some kind of people adopting the bench or putting a plaque in remembrance of loved ones. What's that about?
Yeah, that's been a good idea that's been posted out here for us to do. And I know that we've actually had requests for people who want to memorialize their loved ones, either through a plaque on a park bench, rocks, paver stones for our trail system. That was a good idea that was just posted today. People can buy a tree, we'll plant it on behalf of their loved ones. So we're trying to pull that program together now, along with the other renovations going on here.
Can people start reserving that or talking about that with you right now?
Absolutely. What I'd do is take names, people who are interested, and what kind of plaque and memorial that they would like to provide for their loved one, and we're going to pull the program together. We do have to present it to the Board of County Commissioners for final authorization, but absolutely we'd like to know what kind of support or interest we have in the community on.
When will these be installed?
Oh, that's a great question. Some of them are hopefully going to be installed immediately, so hopefully within this next month. The others, we're going to have to wait for the final renovations, so we don't want to install them and then have to remove them, because it is quite, set in concrete, a big project. So
And then are we going to have the tables out here as well that used to be out here in the Calvetta Eye?
Yes, we purchased 2 tables from the MDF Enterprise Company, and so we will be setting those out for use here for families.
Do you have an update on what's going on with the ponds, or when we're going to start seeing them actually being filled?
I don't. It's been so weather dependent. We had a huge delay because of all the rain, and we have to, couldn't get the machinery back in there. So I don't have a figure for you right now. We've got equipment out here now.
What's contact number for people for more information?
Great. You can contact me, Community Planner, Cheryl Beeman, Community Planner. My number is 775-727-3489.
And in addition, we'd like to add that one of the duck ponds here has been slightly reduced in size to allow for more grass area for people to enjoy the Calvetta Eye. We'll let you know of all the progress coming up as this project continues. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. The Pahrump Valley Historical Museum is still not officially open, but some lectures will be held this weekend. We'll speak to Phil Huff.
Yes, it's going to be open on this Saturday, the 12th, at 1 o'clock. We're going to have a lecture by Walt Williams' son, Mark Philip Williams, and he's going to tell us about the early days of the Pahrump Ranch. And if you live in Pahrump, you should hear this, because this is the history of how this valley developed. Before, it was just a few farms, and after the Pahrump Valley became a cotton producer instead of just hay and alfalfa, then the land developments became the way for the people to farm money instead of crops. And so you'll want to come and hear about this. If you live here and you're interested in the history of the valley, you'll learn how that property was sold to Calvetta and became the Calvetta subdivision, 10,000 acres, the largest subdivision here, and all the other farmers subdivided, and the history goes from there. So don't miss that. Mark Philip Williams is coming from Oregon. He's our longest traveled lecturer, so be sure and be here. It's 1 o'clock. It's free. It's at the museum. It's in the new section of the museum, and afterwards we're going to have a presentation by the Yucca Valley people, the Yucca Mountain people, and you can see that as well.
And the museum this is going to be the official opening since what happened?
Well, we're not really officially opening. We're just opening because this is a special event. Right now, we're in a new hiring mode. We're in a insurance quandary because we are now responsible for operating the museum, not totally separate from the county, but as a totally anonymous 501(c)(3). We're very happy that we have a memo of understanding with the county now to operate in this method, but it takes a little time for us to get our feet on the ground. The county and the museum has signed an MOU last week at the commissioners meeting, and we have a full understanding of how we're going to go forward. As soon as we take care of the details, we'll open again for regular business.
And we don't know how long that's going to be.
I assume that will probably be several weeks before we can actually do that. We'll try and keep the very special events open. We still have permission from the county to use the museum for these special events.
What happened?
Well, what happened was we found ourselves in a position where there's a great deal of money that's given to us to operate by the county that's a result of the assessments on properties. In other words, when people pay tax on their property, they're paying for a contribution to the museum. We share the income from that assessment with the Tonopah Museum. The Tonopah Museum has the agreement to operate as a county museum. We were offered that opportunity. We preferred not to operate as a county museum, but as a 501(c), as a separate entity, which we have done since we opened in 2003. The county took it back, looked at it. They made an agreement that's acceptable both sides, and we're going to do that. It calls for us to have complete and total responsibility for employment, for operation of the museum on a daily basis, but also for some insurance coverage that we do not have, and we're seeking that right now. As soon as we have that in place, we don't want anyone to have a problem here with insurance. We don't want to have a problem with insurance. When that's taken care of, we'll go back to normal operating hours.
All right. Paul Goley spoke to News 46 about the disability program called Rebuilding All Goals Efficiently, also known as RAGE.
We're a nonprofit organization that works with individuals with disabilities and seniors, and we're based in Las Vegas.
All ages with disabilities or just seniors?
Depending on what program you're looking for, but most of the time there's no age limit with folks with disabilities.
You're here at the library today. Tell me some of the questions and concerns that the public is having.
A lot of them have to do with healthcare and Medicare costs and stuff like that. And there are a few programs that we try and help folks get into that help with their Medicare costs and whatnot.
And I know that your program helps people with assistance and applications for state and federal programs.
Right. So whether it's Medicaid or programs through Social Security, we kind of walk applicants through it and help them fill it out because it can be a pretty confusing process.
Exactly. You also help get access to disability services, training.
Mm-hmm. A big part of what we do is actually help funding for home and vehicle modifications. So if there's an individual who, for instance, uses a wheelchair and they need a ramp up to their front door to make it more accessible, if their insurance won't cover it, we can step in and get funding for it. Pretty much anything that'll make their house more accessible. Wheelchair lifts for vehicles, roll-in bathtubs.
Mm-hmm.
So
wonderful. And tell me some of the peer mentoring and support.
Yeah, we have the SCI network, which is the Spinal Cord Injury Network, where we have a lot of folks who have dealt with a spinal cord injury, kind of preparing newly injured individuals for, I guess, what life is going to be like from now on. We don't do counseling so much, it's just get them back into the community, a lot of social events and stuff like that. So
some of the HUD and reverse mortgage programs.
Yeah, we have a reverse mortgage counselor on staff, and I'm not totally familiar with the process, but I know before you go through your reverse mortgage process, you have to speak with a counselor on it first. So
there's a lot of information that people need to know about that. You're going to be at the healthcare fair at the Park Nugget?
I believe so. I myself may not be, but I think somebody from our organization will be there. We try and come up here at least once or every other month and branch out and make new connections and see if we can help folks out.
Tell me how you guys are funded.
Almost solely through grant funds from the state and then the federal government.
And how can people contact you?
You can get in touch with us at our website, which is the letter B, teamrage.org, or call 702-333-1038.
The Senior Medicare Patrol was out in full force at the Pahrump Community Library. Sherry Schott speaks to us in our latest segment of Senior Health Series.
We are a Medicare fraud prevention program. We've been located in the Attorney General's office since 1999. Initially, our program was called SNAG, which stood for Senior Nevada Advocates on Guard, which was a little confusing because we've always been a Medicare fraud prevention program. But pretty much what we do is try to get information out to seniors, their caregivers, et cetera, on how to recognize healthcare fraud, Medicare fraud, who to report it to, how to report it, and just how to recognize it. Periodically, we do presentations on our program to different groups, whether it be senior housing groups, senior centers. We do a lot of health fairs, both, in Vegas and obviously here in Pahrump. We were in Beatty yesterday, and just all throughout the state. And even though we are located here in Vegas, pretty much we are tasked with getting the message out to the entire state. We are a federally funded program, but like I said, we're in the AG's office, so we have to follow the state rules too. Makes it a little interesting sometimes. Also, part of our program is recruiting volunteers, and I actually was doing a volunteer training at the library here a couple months ago.
You will be at the upcoming health fair that's going to be at the Pahrump Nugget as well.
Yes, ma'am, I will. Every senior that's on Medicare, or should I say just regular Medicare, they get what is called the Medicare summary notice, and what we tell them is to, review what they, when they go to the doctor, write down what they do at the doctor's office. We do have a a booklet, you know, a personal health care journal that we tell people, when you go to the doctor, write down what they do. Then when you get your statements, just kind of compare it. Make sure what they're doing at the appointment is what they're charging for. If they are on a Medicare Advantage plan, they get a separate document. It's called the Explanation of Benefits form, which basically has some of the same information. But, you know, just to keep track, you know, to make sure that they're not being double charged for something, or, you know, being charged for something that wasn't done at all, being charged for something different than what was done. You know, that's pretty much what we tell people to look for.
And when a person thinks that they have had some fraud go on, what do they do?
Their best bet is to call us. The Administration on Aging brochure suggests that they contact their provider or their plan first. I always tell people, you know, because I know a lot of people are really uncomfortable about calling a provider, calling a plan. If you're hesitant about doing it, or even if you're just not sure if it's wrong, give us a call, because I'd rather look at 50 different things and have 48 of them, you know, there's nothing wrong, they're just a little confused, rather than them not being confused and not call us. A lot of the calls that I get, that at least that are pertained to our program, they're looking at their Medicare summary notice, and they're looking at that very first column as to what was charged. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that amount is never the amount that Medicare is going to pay. There's always a Medicare allowable, and then ultimately what the patient will be billed. I call it the stop and wave. The walk by waving is actually what I like to call it. And from my understanding, the way that the Medicare rules are, that as long as someone, a doctor, physician's assistant or whatever, as long as they are reviewing the patient's chart, they can charge Medicare for that. I mean, unfortunately, the only people that can change that are the people at Medicare.
How can a consumer stop a doctor that they don't even know is going to ultimately charge them from coming in the room and looking at their chart?
To tell you the truth, I don't think that there's anything that a patient can do other than to just say, you know, look, I would rather you not, you know, unless I know you. I don't know really how far that would be able to go with just a patient just requesting it. Exactly. Contact my office. We do have a toll-free number. It's 888-838-7305.
And all of these healthcare organizations will be at the Prump Nugget Health Fair on March 16th. Still more local news to come. Keep it here.
Pahrumps' most watched and #1 media source for local news and weather with Deanna O'Donnell.
The Dead Sea Scrolls are a collection of 972 texts believed to be from the Bible found on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea. Pastor Lonnie Biggs invites the public to the Shadow Mountain Christian Fellowship here in Pahrump to see a replica of the Dead Sea Scrolls on display.
We have an amazingly incredible, perfect facsimile replica of the Dead Sea Scrolls. This particular exhibit is of the Great Isaiah Scroll, which was actually one of the only ones that was in total intactment. There was also a commentary on the book of Habakkuk, and there was also some information in regards to just secular perspectives and social issues. But these are the three ones that happen to be perfectly intact, and this is a perfect example of the original.
So this one was, do you know when this was made?
It was made in 1991. What had occurred when they found them in 1947, in some caves on the northwest portion of the Dead Sea in an area called Qumran. They didn't really know what they were or what their value was, and so actually some people tried to sell them, tried to see if they could get some money for them. They later found out what they were. Somebody had recognized that the ones that they were able to clearly read looked a lot like the book of Isaiah, and upon further research they found out that they had an exact copy of the book of Isaiah. And the beauty of this is that there's an expression in regards to biblical texts. The oldest biblical text is called the Masoretic text, and it is comprised of all the Hebrew writings in the Old Testament. And the oldest date that they have on the Masoretic text is approximately 200 AD. Well, when they started researching this particular scroll, they found out that it dated back to close to 1,000 years earlier, into 1,000 years BC. And the beauty of this is the fact that sometimes you hear people say that, well, there's a lot of mistakes and the Bible's been, rewritten, and that has been drastically disproven in regards to the fact that this particular scroll is, with the exception of just a few minor little jot and tittles, crossing T's and dots and so forth, is exactly the same as the Masoretic text of the Isaiah scroll, which in a lot of ways puts a lot of the critics to, it closes their mouths in regards to saying that there wasn't a tremendous amount of concern and care that went into transcribing these books.
And how many replicas are there?
This one is the only one that's like this. There are numerous pictures of them and various efforts to kind of copy them, but the one that makes this so incredible, this actually came from the Museum of Sacred Studies and Biblical Research out of California, and it was on loan. It was purchased by a church in Irvine, California, and the way museums work a lot, they either get donations or people loan things to them, and it was then given to that museum, and it's...
We got it from them on loan for how long?
Yes, ma'am. We got it from them. We've got it for 3 weeks. And it will be available from 12 noon until 6 in the evening, Monday through Saturday. And
so the public can come see this, not just members of the church, but the regular public can come see these.
Oh, we want them to. This is a chance of a lifetime.
And once again, you can come down here to Shadow Mountain Christian Fellowship. It's right off of Red Butte in the old Willow Creek Golf Course. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46. For 4 nights only, Murders in the Air, presented by the Shadow Mountain Community Players, will be held at the New Hope Fellowship on West Street. The audience chooses the murderer, so each night is a different play. Carlton McCaslin explains. I'm here at New Hope Fellowship, and I'm joined by Carlton McCaslin, who is in character as
Mike Davis, private eye. Used to be a Chicago cop, got shot in the leg, so I started my own private eye agency. I got hired here by Simon. That's Simon Starkweather. He's got a special assignment for me, and as the play unfolds, people will see what all is going on here. But Simon, unfortunately, meets a rather grisly demise in the show. So before the show's over, I get to help solve the crime. However, the audience is a bigger factor than I am, because at intermission time, all the clues will be there, all the suspects will be there, and the audience will pick who they think the killer is.
This is so much fun. We're at New Hope. Inside their auditorium, this is the Shadow Mountain Players. What time is the performance at?
Show starts at 7 o'clock. It'll be Friday and Saturday night this week, and it'll also be Friday and Saturday night the next weekend. So we got 2 weekends to run on it, and a certain percentage of our profit is going to go to their Pathways of Hope, which is their food bank.
Wonderful. And how much is it to get in?
It's $10 for the ticket, $10 per person.
We have here 2 rays of sunshine to dispel the gloom. Ladies, you look wonderful.
I swear, Cousin John, you're a rogue and a charmer.
Well, I do my best. And won't you join us?
Oh, have a seat over here. You'll be safer.
The Pahrump Valley Speedway began filling seats this past weekend thanks to some great weather. Chad Broadhead speaks to us about the latest races.
Well, right now we've got the mini stocks running. They're running towards the end of the night tonight because we just had so many of them, so we decided we'd put them back to where the track is really dry slick for them and see how the mini stock drivers handled it.
What is dry slick?
It's when the track goes completely dry. There's no tackiness to it. It's just all black rubber from the tires being burned off onto the track.
And a lot of race car drivers like this?
Yeah, a lot of race car drivers like a dry slick track. Other drivers like it slick and tacky, you know. So it goes both ways. So we're trying to give the drivers a little of both this year. Dry slick and also a tacky track.
You can hear the tires around the corner actually squealing, which I've never heard before.
Yes, that's because, like I say, again, it is dry slick. It's almost like asphalt out there right now. It gets really hard, and it just really a lot of fun to ride on.
We had a crash just a few minutes ago on the track. The drivers here don't get injured very much here at Pahrump Valley Speedway, and that's a great thing. Why is that?
Well, for one thing, they all have to have a safety equipment. They have to have their harnesses, their helmets, their neck braces, their gloves, and their suits, and they're all fireproof. And then they have to have a 5-point harness. So it's a really big seat belt that just wraps completely around you, comes up through your legs, across your lap, up over your chest, and over your shoulders. And it really holds you into them seats.
When you got a crash like we just saw, a T-bone collision on the track, what happens after that?
Usually if the cars can get going again, we just hurry up and get them going and get them moved. But then sometimes they end up losing oil, or they're losing their water and their antifreeze on the track. So then we got to stop it and put some dirt on it so it soaks it up. So we got to clean it up and get it, because if the drivers hit that, it could actually send them into the wall, because it gets really slick on their tires.
When's our next race?
We race March 19th again. All 8 classes are racing again. So we'll be back out here in 2 weeks from today.
And people can find out more information about Pahrump Valley Speedway where?
They can go to www.PaHrumpValleySpeedway.com, or they can go to PaHrumpValleySpeedwayBlogspot.com, and they get all the information of our races, the scores, the drivers, where they're at, and times that we open and close, and they can get all the information they want. They can leave us messages if they'd like, and ask questions if they'd like.
The Pahrump Senior Center is inviting all to a pancake breakfast this weekend to celebrate St. Patrick's Day.
Absolutely. We just want to invite the entire town of Pahrump down. It's going to be an incredible event. St. Patrick's Day Pancake Breakfast, Saturday, March 12, 2011, right here at the Pahrump Senior Center. It's 1370 West Basin. The time's going to be from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Adults are going to be $5 for a ticket. Kids 10 and under are going to be $3, and we got a really good menu plan for you guys this time. We're going to have fresh pancakes, sausage, potatoes O'Brien, eggs, juice, and coffee. So, I mean, we want to see the whole family come down, support the Senior Center, support the community, and just get everyone down to have a great time.
The Spring Fling Cowboy Thing fundraiser benefiting the Pahrump Arts Council was held this past weekend at the Pahrump Nugget. Right behind me, you can see lots of fun going on here tonight at the Pahrump Nugget. This is all put on by the Pahrump Arts Council. We're going to speak to Lulu Brown.
It's so great, and I'm so thrilled everybody's here. Thank you, Deanna.
It's very popular, isn't it? It's pretty packed in there.
It is. It's just more people than I ever thought of, and the entertainment is superb.
Wonderful. We have a wide array of activities tonight. Tell me some of them.
Well, right on the stage you may be hearing the sisters, or the Reed sisters, Shiley and Tiffany, and aren't they good for young teens? Yes, and then we have the Scotty's Girls, which performed already, the Nye County Starlets, of course. And coming up will be Dan and Vanita Biggis. And some of the people that did donate their time, actually, are the artists themselves. Doris Smith did a beautiful centerpiece, and all the centerpieces are going to be given away tonight, and it's just beautiful.
And Saida Trudeau was a big sponsor of this.
Yes, we are so thrilled that he took this for a first event. Yes.
It's a great event. People can donate all year long to the Pahrump Arts Council.
Yes, they can. They can donate. They can become members. There's so much to do with the Art Guild.
So many things are under the roof of the Pahrump Arts Council, as far as activities and theater guilds and so many things. So people, for more information, how can they get in touch with the Pahrump Arts Council?
You can call the local office at 751-6776.
The Teen Sister Group performed at the Spring Fling Cowboy Thing held at the Pahrump Nugget this past week, and the sisters Shiley and Tiffany are available for your event as well. Well, we introduced you to Shiley and Tiffany Reed last week. We're going to speak to them. We are at the Spring Fling Cowboy Thing here at the Pahrump Nugget. We're going to tell you all about them and let you hear a little bit of their song.
We're doing really great. The audience has been awesome.
It's a lot of fun out here, isn't it?
Yes, it's definitely an adrenaline rush.
How old are you guys?
I'm 15. And I'm 13.
So how long have you guys been singing?
Since when we can remember. I mean, this has always been what we do. This is what God called us to do, so we're doing it.
So I know your mom is it your mother that's the dance teacher, and she performs and does a lot of things. Is that a big influence on you guys?
Well, she's retired now, but she taught us a lot. She used to sing when she was younger, so she's taught us a lot that we know. She's great. She helps us choreograph some of our routines and stuff. So
tell everybody who she is.
Kelly Thompson. She's awesome.
So what do you guys hope to do in the future?
We just hope to get out there and, spread God's message and just go as far as we can. So
you're going to be singers? You're going to be dancers? I know you guys do it all, right?
Well, we're going for the singing. I haven't really danced in a while. We incorporate a little bit of moves in our dancing and our singing, but we're going for the singing to inspire people to reach for your dreams.
There you go. You both are Pahrump Valley High School?
Actually, we homeschool, so
9th grade.
It's been a lot of fun.
And you have a website, don't you?
Yes, it's ShileyandTiffany.com.
And spell that for me, Shiley.
CHEYLEEANDTIFFANY.
And you perform if people ask you to come out and perform?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we've been getting a lot of offers lately, so.
Well, good luck, and what a wonderful song. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it for this edition of News 46's News in Review. This weekend's events include the performance of Murders in the Air Friday and Saturday at the New Hope Fellowship, the USDA Commodity Distribution also at New Hope, Relay for Life Karaoke Challenge at the Tumbleweed Tavern Saturday night, the Senior Center Pancake Breakfast Saturday morning, Spring Mountain Art Guild Open House at the Library Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m., lectures at the Museum on Basin at 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., the weightlifting competition at the Nugget on Saturday, Star Nursery sale, of course, all day Saturday, and the Kiwanis Black Tie Affair Saturday night at Mountain Falls. I want to say a special happy birthday to my friend Gina B. Good, and as well as our own KPVM employee Lulu Francis, both of my Pisces sisters there. We'll see you on Monday. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. Have a great weekend.